The moment the front door slammed, the noise died. Only the frantic thump-thump of my own heart remained, a drumbeat against the overwhelming, suffocating silence. I gripped the phone tightly, its surface still vibrating from the abrupt end of the call, and in that split second, I knew I had to be strong. Just moments ago, my 3 grandchildren, children I barely knew thanks to their mother's years of alienation, had been ushered in, their faces sullen, their luggage oversized. Now they were gone, hidden somewhere in the house. I stood facing the emptiness left by my daughter-in-law's careless departure, knowing she expected to return to find me, their devoted grandmother, Ilara Vance, utterly broken. But she was wrong. In that terrifying silence, after 67 years of a life defined by sacrifice, I made the most crucial decision. I decided to teach her a lesson she would never, ever forget. My name is Ilara Vance. After 35 years dedicated to teaching at Oakhaven Academy in Riverbend Heights, I had seen it all. Challenging children, complicated parents, and impossible situations. Yet nothing prepared me for Serafina. That afternoon, I was finally relaxing in my living room, savoring my second day of retirement. Imagine working since you were 22, and finally at 67, having time that was truly your own. I had waited my entire life for this moment. My coffee table was buried under travel brochures. Mount Silver Peak, the Emerald Gorge, a road trip down the Azure Coast Road, places I had only dreamed of seeing. My path to this moment had been steep. First, raising Silas alone after his father, Gideon, died tragically in a 50-vehicle pileup on Route 99. Then years of unrelenting sacrifice to ensure Silas received an education. The phone rang at 4 p.m. When I saw Serafina's name, I hesitated. Her calls always meant she wanted something. "Ilara," she began, skipping any polite greeting. She never called me mother-in-law, let alone mom. "I have a huge opportunity in Etheria. It's a multi-level marketing conference that's going to change our lives." Multi-level marketing. Another one of her ill-fated pyramid schemes where she invariably lost money. "The kids can't miss 2 weeks of school," she continued. "So, I'll leave them with you." "I'm sorry," I managed, my voice barely a whisper. "Oh, don't play deaf," she snapped. "I'm leaving Orion, Lyra, and Caspian with you. After all, you don't do anything anymore, so you can watch them while I travel. It's perfect now that you're not working. You have all the time in the world." "I don't do anything anymore." My blood began to boil. This woman, who, in my estimation, had never worked an honest day and lived parasitically off my son, was telling me my life was empty. "Serafina, I have plans," I stated. She erupted in that sharp, cynical laughter I loathed. Plans? What plans could a retired old woman have? Knitting? Watching midday dramas? "Please, Ilara, don't be ridiculous. I'll drop them off tomorrow at 7 o'clock in the morning, and don't give them junk food like last time." The last time had been 6 months ago, for 2 hours at Christmas, because they supposedly had to go to the important grandparents, the ones with money. "I'm not going to watch them for you, Serafina," I asserted. "What do you mean you're not? You're their grandmother. It's your obligation. Besides, Silas agrees." I knew Silas did not know. He worked 14-hour days at the manufacturing plant just to sustain her frivolous demands. "If you ever want to see your grandchildren again, you'd better cooperate," she threatened. "Because I decide if they have a grandmother or not." It was then that something inside me snapped. Mrs. Vance never stood silently in the face of injustice, and Serafina had just declared war. "All right, Serafina," I replied, feigning the sweetest voice possible. "Bring them over tomorrow." "That's more like it. And don't spoil them. You know they're difficult children, but that's because you never knew how to raise Silas properly." "If he had had a decent mother," she started. I ended the call before she could finish. I stared at the framed retirement certificate on the wall. 35 years shaping generations, only to be treated like a disposable servant by my own daughter-in-law. If I had learned anything, it was that the most profound lessons are never delivered through words. I picked up the phone and dialed a number I hadn't used in years. "Vivian." "Yes, it's Ilara," I need your assistance. Do you recall mentioning those hidden recorders you used during your divorce? Perfect. And one more thing. Is your sister Celeste still working at Child Protective Services? Excellent. I hung up and poured myself some calming chamomile tea. Tomorrow, the real education would commence, and it wouldn't be for the children. Serafina was about to receive the most crucial lesson of her life. Never underestimate a retired teacher with free time and a determination for justice. That night I couldn't sleep. Memories of 35 years crashed against me. How had I allowed my family to view me as an old piece of furniture, only useful when required? Started when Silas was 3. Gideon, my husband, died in that wreck on Route 99. I spent 5 years of savings trying to save him. His last words were, "Take care of our son, make him a good man," and I tried desperately. I was left with $100, a 3-year-old, and a teaching degree. I worked double shifts, tutoring in the afternoons. Silas ate before I did. If there was money for new shoes, they were for him. I pretended I wasn't hungry. My own mother advised me to find a new provider, but looking at Silas's brown eyes, so like his father's, I knew no stepfather would love him as I did. The sacrifices were relentless. I once sold my only locket, not my wedding ring, to afford a turkey and trimmings for Christmas dinner so Silas could have the bike he wanted. He never knew, to him I was invincible. The expenses multiplied in high school. I kept my double shifts and started selling pies at the church on Sundays. My hands are wrinkled and swollen from kneading dough at 4 a.m. But it was worth it when Silas got into Midland Tech Institute for Industrial Engineering. Serafina arrived during his junior year. She looked like a porcelain doll, hugging me and calling me a hero for raising Silas alone. I fell for her act, starved as I was for a sincere hug. She initially claimed to understand struggle, coming from a supposed humble background. Lies. I was so blinded by Silas's happiness that I ignored the red flags. I paid for half their wedding with my retirement savings, justifying it as an investment in happiness. The change was slow like subtle poison. "Oh, Ilara, it's a shame Silas didn't have a father figure. You can see it in his lack of ambition," or, "No offense, but your pies are very simple." I endured every stab for Silas. When Orion, my first grandson, was born, I rushed to the hospital with a blanket I had knitted. Serafina set it aside. "Thanks, but we have everything from Viridian Boutique. We can donate it." Viridian Boutique, while I still bought my clothes at Thrift Haven. With Lyra and Caspian, I was pushed further away. My parenting was old-fashioned. Kids today need robotics, not just peanut butter and jelly sandwiches like Silas grew up on. My son grew up with values and love, but Serafina was determined to alienate me. The hardest blow came 2 years ago, Lyra's 5th birthday. I was not on the guest list. "It's just a party for her school friends and their parents, Ilara. You understand. They're different people. We wouldn't want you to feel uncomfortable." Uncomfortable. The birthday girl's grandmother. Silas was there playing and did nothing. I left, crying, and donated the dollhouse I'd saved 3 months for. Now, Serafina wanted a free babysitter, believing she could erase years of contempt. But I had learned child psychology, studied dysfunctional families, and seen hundreds of cases of narcissistic mothers who weaponize their children. I had learned to wait. In 4 hours, 3 children trained to despise me would arrive. I smiled in the darkness. I knew how to transform children. At 7 a.m. sharp, the doorbell rang. Serafina was punctual when it benefited her. "I don't have time to chat," she said, not even stepping inside. "Orion is allergic to dust. Lyra won't touch green vegetables. And Caspian needs his iPad to sleep. Medicines are in the blue suitcase. I'll be back in 2 weeks." "And Silas?" "Yes. Silas is working as always. Someone has to support this family," she sneered, looking down at me. "Not all of us are lucky enough to retire with a government pension. My pension was $1,500 a month after 35 years. She spent more on her nails. The children shuffled in. Orion, 12, phone glued to his face. Lyra, 10, radiating disgust. Caspian, 7, searching for the television. "Be good for your grandmother," Serafina said without conviction. Then she whispered to me, "And don't you dare fill their heads with ideas. Remember that I decide if they ever see you again." She left without a kiss or hug for her children. I stood with 3 children who treated me like the enemy. My mind flashed back to her previous deceptions, intercepting the $500 I gave Silas for a car to supposedly pay tuition, which turned into a Louis Vuitton bag for her, and taking the $5,000 left to me by my sister Tamsin after claiming her company went bankrupt. My roof still leaks 2 years later. "Grandma, where's the Wi-Fi?" Orion jolted me from my thoughts. "I need the Wi-Fi now." "The modem is broken," I lied. I had unplugged it deliberately. "What? No way. Mom," he screamed as if tortured. "Your mom is gone, Orion, and screaming won't bring the internet back. You're the worst grandmother in the world. That's why nobody likes you." Serafina's poison, delivered by my grandson. "I'm hungry," Lyra interrupted. "But I'm not eating anything you cook. Mom says you're a terrible cook, and that's why Dad is so skinny. At home I watch YouTube all day," Caspian added. They were perfect products of neglect. I recalled the final outrage, last Christmas, when Serafina threw my homemade holiday turkey and stuffing into the trash, claiming it was too greasy and that my kitchen had cockroaches, while Silas stood by and said nothing. "Grandma, do something. We're bored." Orion threw a cushion. "Your mother asked me to care for you, not entertain you," I responded calmly. "There's food, water, and beds. If you need anything else, you'll have to earn it." "Earn it?" Lyra looked offended. "We're kids. We don't have to earn anything. In this house, everyone contributes," I declared. "That's how I was raised. That's how I raised your father, and that's how these 2 weeks are going to work." "I'm going to tell my mom you're mean," Caspian threatened. "Go ahead. And while you're at it, tell her I found her Facebook page very interesting, especially the photos from Porto Sol last month when she was supposedly at a training seminar." The children fell silent, sensing a shift in their boring grandmother. That first night was chaos. Orion kicked his door. Lyra cried, demanding special food. Caspian wet the bed intentionally. They were trying to break me. But at 2 a.m. I heard Lyra's real sobs. I found her clutching a crumpled photo of me holding her as a baby. "Do you miss your mom?" I asked. "No," she whispered too quickly. "Mom always leaves. I'm used to it." The first crack. Serafina had abandoned her own children, substituting love with money and gifts. "Lyra, how often does your mom take trips?" "Once a month, sometimes more. She says it's for work, but I'm not supposed to talk about it. Mom says family problems stay in the family." The golden rule of abusers. Silence. I invited her to learn how to make the pecan cookies she loved as a toddler. Though she hesitated, citing her mother's lie about my dirty kitchen, the seed was planted. Unbeknownst to me then, Orion's disconnected phone held messages that would expose Serafina's darkest secret. Messages that confirmed I was saving not just my grandchildren, but my entire family, from a danger far greater than I imagined. The second day, Vivian arrived at 6 a.m. with a shoebox. "Here's everything," she whispered, handing me 3 button-sized recorders and a camera disguised as a smoke detector. She also gave me a manila envelope. "The credit reports you requested. Ilara, your daughter-in-law, has $30,000 in debt, all in Silas's name." My poor son had no idea. "Celeste from CPS is coming tomorrow at 3 o'clock for a casual routine visit, but you need concrete evidence." Evidence was exactly what I intended to get. I served breakfast: animal-shaped pancakes, fruit stars, and chocolate milk. Orion sat down suspiciously, but a fleeting smile appeared after the first bite, immediately suppressed. Lyra and Caspian were drawn by the smell. "They're delicious, Grandma," Caspian blurted. "Shut up, stupid. We're not supposed to," Lyra elbowed him. After breakfast I laid down the law. Earned privileges. Orion was assigned dishes, Lyra the beds, Caspian the toys. That's child labor. Orion shouted. No, my boy, child labor is what I see on your mother's phone, I countered. I showed them a screenshot of Serafina's Facebook, captioned #newlife #finally free, featuring her in a bikini hugging a man who was definitely not Silas. That's Uncle Zane, Caspian said innocently. Mom's friend who sometimes comes over when Dad is at work. Orion immediately covered his mouth, but it was too late. Uncle Zane asked casually, how often does he visit? We're not supposed to talk about that, Orion panicked. Mom said if we told anyone about Uncle Zane, Dad would get very sad and could die of sadness. The level of manipulation was horrific. Kids, your dad isn't going to die of sadness, I reassured them. But I need you to tell me the truth about everything. It's important. Why do you want to know? Lyra crossed her arms. Because I love you, and when you love someone you protect them. Right now you need protection. Caspian broke first. Grandma, why does Mom say you're mean if you make such yummy pancakes? He admitted she called me poor and embarrassing, claiming my house smelled bad and I was a bitter old woman who ruined Silas's life. I discreetly installed the first recorder. While the children grudgingly performed their chores, I accessed Orion's Google account. What I found chilled me. WhatsApp conversations between Serafina and Zane confirmed they were planning much worse than an affair. I have almost everything ready, Serafina wrote. Silas signed the papers without reading, as always. The house is already in my name, and the brats. I'll leave them with the old woman. Zane added that Silas worked so much he wouldn't be able to ask for custody. They agreed they needed more money to move permanently to Etheria. Serafina's plan. Wait for me to die, Silas inherits the house, worth at least $200,000, and as his wife, half would be hers. I learned she had taken out 3 credit cards in Silas's name, sold his car claiming it was stolen, and tried to take out a loan against my house. The work trips to Porto Sol, Estrella Sands, and Coral Cove were liaisons with Zane, all funded by Silas's earnings. I documented every message and photo. That night, testing the waters, I asked them what they wanted to do tomorrow. Go home, Orion answered automatically. To which house? Your dad's house or Uncle Zane's house? Lyra's fork clattered. Caspian giggled nervously. No, Grandma, he sleeps in Mom and Dad's room and they make weird noises. Orion stood up furiously, but Lyra started sobbing. She confessed Serafina said Silas was boring, Zane was more fun, and that they would soon have a new house with a pool, ensuring they wouldn't be poor like Dad anymore, or end up like me, living in an old, ugly house. I hugged her. She cried like the 10-year-old she was, not the robot Serafina had attempted to manufacture. Does Dad know? Orion whispered, without hostility. No, my love, your dad knows nothing, I said. I'm going to make sure you are all safe, that your dad is safe, and that your mom gets exactly what she deserves. I called Silas, claiming a structural leak in the roof required his attention. He agreed to come after work. 12 days remained until Serafina's return. The 3rd day began with a literal explosion. Caspian found my 4th of July fireworks and lit one inside the house. I ran in to find him laughing amidst scorched curtains and smoke. It's fun, like on YouTube, he exclaimed. You could have burned the house down, Caspian. So what? It's an ugly house anyway. Mom said that when you die, she's going to sell it and buy us a better one. He delivered Serafina's venom. This time the words fueled me. You're right, it's an old house, I agreed. And do you know why? Because in this house, I raised your father alone after your grandfather died. In this kitchen I made 1,000 lunches with love. And if your mother thinks she's going to get this house, she is very mistaken, because yesterday I changed my will. I'm leaving everything to a foundation for orphan children, who would actually appreciate a roof over their heads. You can't do that. That house is our inheritance, Orion shouted. Inheritance. You who despise me and treat me like a servant. I took out my phone and played the recording of their dinner conversation. Dad is boring, Uncle Zane is more fun. You recorded our conversation. Lyra was pale. I recorded everything, my girl, because when your mother comes back and tries to turn everything against me, I will have proof. Orion erupted. He screamed obscenities and threw the vase, picture frames, and my retirement diploma, smashing them all. Lyra joined, throwing plates. Caspian tore up my family photo albums. Photos of Gideon, of baby Silas, pieces of my history flying everywhere. I stood calmly in the hurricane. The hidden camera Vivian installed was recording. After 20 minutes, they were exhausted. Are you finished? Yes. Now you are going to clean up every broken piece. And while you do it, you're going to think about this. Your mother left you here because she doesn't love you. If she loved you, she wouldn't be in Etheria with Uncle Zane. If she loved you, she wouldn't use you as weapons against your father. Orion screamed that I didn't care about them. I pulled out 3 savings passbooks, one for each of them, funded by $100 saved every month from my meager $1,500 pension. Orion, $4,500. Lyra, $3,800. Caspian, $2,500. Since I can't see you, at least I can secure your future. But tomorrow, I'm closing these accounts and giving the money to children who value effort. Lyra broke again. Grandmoe, we didn't know. You didn't know, or you didn't want to know. It's easier to believe your mother's lies than to think for yourselves, isn't it? The doorbell rang. It was Celeste from Child Protective Services, Vivian's sister. Celeste observed the wreckage and started taking photos. Did the children do this? Your mother encourages them to destroy other people's property, Lyra replied. Celeste reviewed the documents, the photos of Serafina and Zane toasting on a yacht, and the financial statements. After interviewing them separately, she reported, Mrs. Vance, these children are suffering from severe emotional neglect. The psychological manipulation is evident. When Celeste left, the children were sitting on the stairs, looking scared and abandoned. Are they going to take us away from our parents? Caspian asked. No, my love. I sat with them. But things are going to change. It will hurt, but it's necessary. Later, Lyra whispered to Orion, what if Grandma is right? What if Mom really doesn't love us? Even Orion was doubting now. The armor of lies was cracking. That evening, Caspian brought me a torn photo of Silas on his graduation day. I'm sorry, Grandma. I tried to fix it. I hugged him. We can fix a lot of things, Caspian, but first we have to accept that they're broken. Silas arrived at 7:15, exhausted. His uniform stained. It's not the leak in the roof, son, it's the leak in your marriage, I told him. I placed the folder on the table. Screenshots of conversations with Zane, the credit card statements, the Etheria photos. Silas took the papers, his face draining of color. This has to be a mistake. Serafina is at a sales conference. Silas, my love, Serafina is in Etheria with her lover. The children know. They've known for months. The Uncle Zane who sleeps in your bed when you travel. The one your children have had to endure in silence because their mother threatened them that you would die of sadness if you found out. Silas broke, sinking into the chair. I'm an idiot, he whispered. No, son, you trusted the wrong person. But now you have to be strong for your children. Orion was at the door. He had heard everything. Dad, we already knew, he said. Lyra and Caspian joined him. Silas opened his arms, and for the first time in years, the 4 of them cried together. Tears were the first step toward healing. Silas took a vacation, his first in 3 years, and moved into my house. We immediately implemented the Respect Project. First, rigid schedules. But at home we go to sleep whenever we want, Lyra protested. That's why you are the way you are, I replied. Second, responsibilities. Orion helped in the garden. Lyra in the kitchen. Caspian organized games. This is exploitation, Orion muttered. No, this is family, Silas corrected him. In a family, everyone contributes. Third, real consequences. No Wi-Fi for non-compliance, timeouts for shouting, payment for broken items. Most importantly, we held family sessions with Dr. Thorne, the psychologist. She confirmed the children had been used as pawns in a sick game, a classic case of parental alienation combined with emotional neglect. On the 5th day, Lyra asked me to teach her the pecan cookies. She asked, "Grandma, why does Mom hate you so much?" "She doesn't hate me, my girl, she fears me," I said. "Because I represent everything she is not. I worked, I built something with my hands. I raised a son with values. She wants everything fast, easy, without effort." On the 7th day, Orion asked why I never defended myself over the years when Serafina spoke ill of me. I thought keeping the peace was more important than being right. It was a mistake. Sometimes silence is complicity with abuse. On the 8th day, Caspian brought me a drawing. Our family, Silas, the 3 children, and me in the center. Serafina was absent. "Mom is on a trip," he said. "She's always on a trip, but you're always here." Silas and I had a talk. He apologized for failing me. "No, Silas, I failed you as a mother. I should have taught you to recognize the signs. I should have protected you better," I admitted. "Love blinds us, son, and manipulators are experts at making us doubt our own perception." With the help of Vivian, Celeste, and the lawyer Mr. Martinez, we had a complete file for divorce and custody. On the 9th day, the children organized a surprise dinner, cooking and setting the table. "It's to say thank you," Orion explained. "Thank you for not giving up on us." Silas made the announcement. "Kids, when your mother comes back, things are going to change a lot. Dad is going to file for divorce. Are we still going to be able to come to Grandma's?" Caspian immediately asked. "You're going to live with me, and you'll see your grandma every day if you want," Silas promised. That night, Caspian confessed he didn't miss his iPad anymore. The 10th day brought a devastating revelation. Lyra came to my room. "Grandma, Mom has another phone, one Dad doesn't know about. She hides it in her makeup bag." Lyra had found photos of Zane, bank documents from Etheria, and a lawyer's email regarding custody. "Mom wants to take us to live in Etheria with Uncle Zane. It mentioned the U.S. doesn't have an extradition treaty for civil cases." Serafina wasn't just planning to leave Silas. She planned to steal the children and vanish. Lyra pulled out a USB drive. "I copied everything," she said. The contents were devastating. The Etheria house was purchased in Zane's name with money siphoned from joint accounts. There was a detailed 5-phase plan. Get Silas to believe she needed a training trip. Zane empties the house. Serafina returns, provokes a fight, makes it look like I mistreated the children. She uses that to justify fleeing with the children for their safety. Once in Etheria, there's no turning back. The worst was an audio file. Serafina was talking about fabricating abuse. "I don't care if the brats cry for their dad. They'll forget in 2 months. Besides, Silas is so pathetic he won't even fight. And if he does, I have edited videos that make it look like he hits Orion. Technology works miracles, my friend." Lyra was weeping. Mom was going to say Dad hit us. Orion walked in, and when he heard, fury swelled in him. "I'm going to kill her." "No, Orion, you will not do anything violent. We're going to be smarter than her, with the truth and the law on our side." I called the lawyer immediately. Silas arrived, distraught. "Mom, I went to the bank. Serafina emptied our savings account yesterday. $38,000. Everything we had saved in 10 years. I showed him everything. Orion sat next to him. "It's not your fault, Dad. Mom is a very good liar." Mr. Martinez arrived and confirmed that with this evidence, fraud, financial siphoning, and attempted parental kidnapping, they could secure a restraining order. Silas did not want her jailed. He just wanted his children safe. The plan was set. Serafina would surrender custody and return the money, or face criminal charges. The 13th day, the final day before her return, was spent at the park where I used to take Silas. We were a family. That night, as I tucked them in, they revealed their hearts. Orion thanked me for not giving up on him. Lyra wanted to be brave like me. Caspian asked, "Grandma, can I call you Mama Ilara? I already have a mom, but I need a real mom." I wept tears of joy. It was 11:58 a.m. Silas and I sat with Mr. Martinez. At 12:03 p.m., Serafina's SUV pulled up. She walked in, tanned, designer-dressed, and annoyed. "Michael, what are you doing here? Where are the kids? I hope you haven't spoiled them, Ilara," she started, then stopped when she saw the lawyer. "We need to talk," Silas said, his voice firm. "Talk about what?" "I'm tired from the trip. The kids and I are going home." "The kids aren't here," I stated calmly. "And they're not going anywhere with you." Silas played the audio file, Serafina's own voice saying, "The brats get in my way. As soon as I can, I'll get rid of them. Silas is such an idiot. He won't even notice." Serafina's face drained. "That's edited. It's illegal to record someone without their consent." "It's also illegal," Mr. Martinez interjected, "to open credit cards in your husband's name without his knowledge. $30,000 in debt." Silas laid the bank statements on the table. I presented the evidence of the Etheria house bought with stolen funds in Zane's name. "Ooh. This is all your fault, you meddling old woman," Serafina screamed. "No, Serafina, you separated yourself. I just documented your crimes," I replied. Mr. Martinez then produced the documentation for attempted international parental kidnapping. Serafina staggered, having to grab the sofa. "The children are mine. I gave birth to them. Children are not property," I retorted. "And they made a decision after 13 days with me." Mr. Martinez laid out the options. Sign the divorce, waive custody, return the stolen money, and face no criminal charges. Or fight in court, lose everything, and face jail time for fraud and kidnapping. Serafina collapsed, defeated. "I have rights," she cried. "The children also have rights," I said. "The right not to be manipulated, used, and emotionally abandoned." She tried to call Zane, but he had already been notified about the fraud case and abandoned her. Suddenly Lyra was at the door. She, Orion, and Caspian had sneaked away from Vivian's house. "Don't touch me," Lyra warned, stepping back as her mother approached. "Grandma didn't tell me anything," Lyra continued. "You said it all in your messages with Uncle Zane. In your lies. In every time you left us." "A mother doesn't call her son a mistake," Caspian said in his small voice. "A mother doesn't steal her children's college money," Orion added. "A mother protects us," the three concluded in unison, "like Grandma does." The silence was deafening. Serafina, seeing her children's impenetrable wall, finally signed the papers in a fury and stormed out. "We just gained a family," Leo replied to her final cruel statement. 6 months later, my house was filled with laughter. The living room, once destroyed, was now Ilara's art house, where I taught painting and traditional cooking to neighborhood children. Silas had been promoted to production manager and was paying off the $38,000 debt Serafina had left. Serafina had declared bankruptcy and was last heard to be working as a caregiver for the elderly in another state. A delicious irony, as Orion noted. The children flourished. Orion made the honor roll. Lyra joined volleyball. Caspian discovered my old piano. During a Saturday dinner, Orion read an essay for a school contest. "My hero doesn't wear a cape or fly. My hero is 67 years old, has wrinkled hands from working so hard, and the biggest heart in the world. My hero is my grandmother, who saved me from becoming a monster." Lyra read a poem about finding love at her grandmother's door. Caspian handed me a drawing labeled, "My Real Family." A month later, on Mother's Day, Silas and the children surprised me. They presented me with legal papers. The children, Silas explained, wanted me to be their legal guardian as well, ensuring that if anything happened to him, they would remain with me, not with Serafina. "Are you happy, Grandma?" Caspian asked as we ate breakfast together. I looked at my son recovered, my grandchildren healing, my house full of purpose. I'm more than happy, my love. I am whole. In the end, we had won freedom, peace, and true love. The teacher had taught her final lesson, and the learning would continue forever.